When the car accident happened, Diego immediately pulled the woman he loved, Victoria, into his arms, completely ignoring me, his pregnant wife. That day, Diego and Victoria dominated the trending searches. The comments were full of people shipping their love, blessings flooding the screen. At the same time, a discordant comment was pushed to the top of the trends. CEO Diego is suspected to be married. Top star Victoria knowingly becomes the other woman. Someone posted a photo of Diego and me registering our marriage at the Civil Affairs Bureau 5 years ago. In an instant, the news of top actress Victoria being a mistress exploded. Diego immediately released a statement, claiming he was already divorced and clearing Victoria's name. A few hours after posting the statement, Diego came to my hospital room and handed me a divorce agreement. Helen, Victoria didn't come this far easily. For the sake of her career, let's divorce first. After everything settles down, we can remarry. I nodded and silently accepted the divorce papers he handed me, signing my name. Then I immediately scheduled an abortion. Chapter 1. When the car accident happened, Victoria was sitting in the back seat, acting coquettishly and complaining to Diego. She said the food on set was awful. She said filming this drama was too exhausting. Diego comforted her gently, promising to arrange for a 5-star hotel chef to personally follow her and take care of her meals. As for the exhausting scenes, Diego said he would call the director and have the difficult and tiring parts replaced with stunt doubles. I sat in the front seat, staring into the rearview mirror, watching Victoria lean against Diego, clutching his arm intimately. I felt dazed. Anyone who didn't know better would probably think Victoria and Diego were the loving couple, but I was the one who was Diego's lawful wife. Seeing my own husband being so intimate with another woman, yet having to swallow my anger, I could probably be crowned the #1 Ninja Turtle in the world. I mocked myself silently, and in the very next second, the accident happened. My body was thrown forward by inertia and then yanked back by the seatbelt. The airbags deployed, protecting my upper body, but my foot was trapped by something. My head slammed into something, and blood began pouring down. The first thing I did when the pain hit was turn my head to check whether Diego, who was in the back seat, was hurt. Like me, Diego had a bleeding wound on his forehead, but he didn't care about himself at all. His eyes were fixed tightly on the unconscious Victoria in his arms. Victoria, Victoria, are you okay? Perhaps it was the pain. My eyes suddenly felt wet. Tears mixed with the blood flowing down from my forehead, blurring my vision. I didn't wipe it away. I just sat there in the passenger seat, in Diego's frantic shouts for Victoria, as the piercing pain swallowed my consciousness. When I woke up again, it was several hours later. I stared at the snow-white ceiling for a long time before my vision finally focused. Beside me, Aunt Monica's voice sounded delighted. "Madam, you're awake." "Monica?" I turned my head toward the housekeeper. The sharp pain in my foot made me gasp. She held my hand with concern. "It hurts, doesn't it? You're pregnant, so the doctor didn't dare give you painkillers. You'll have to endure it." My voice was hoarse. "What's wrong with my foot?" "Severe abrasions, and there's a crack in the bone. You'll need to stay in the hospital for observation for a few days." At least it wasn't broken. I let out a silent sigh of relief. The phone in my bag on the bedside table rang. Monica handed it to me. I answered. My best friend Roxana's furious voice burst out from the other end. "I'm so pissed. That disgusting scumbag and his mistress. And people are actually shipping their love story? Are they insane? And you're just letting them hype this up without saying a word?" I pulled the phone slightly away from my ear. "Roxana, my leg is injured." "What? How did you get hurt?" "We were in the same car." "Damn it! That bastard! He protected the mistress right in front of you? What does he think you are, his pregnant wife?" Roxana was furious beyond measure. I could hear her rustling, clearly throwing on clothes. "Which hospital? I'm coming over right now." After hanging up, I checked the trending searches. Diego and Victoria dominated the top 10 hot searches. The posts reconstructed everything that happened after I fainted. The ambulance arrived quickly. Victoria, who had been shielded by Diego, was completely unharmed, yet she had fainted. Diego lost control, shouting hysterically. The moment he carried Victoria into the ambulance was recorded by passers-by and uploaded online. Victoria was currently one of the hottest celebrities. In less than half an hour, Diego's identity was exposed. Along with it, their entire history together was dug up by netizens. Chapter 2. Diego, the hottest new tycoon in the business world. Netizens dug up that Diego and Victoria were classmates. The two were a perfect match, talented and beautiful, and had confirmed their relationship back in their senior year of high school. All their youthful photos were uncovered by the all-powerful internet. The comments were filled with the same reactions. So sweet! This is the most compatible couple I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, it's not easy for a campus romance to last until now. Don't you think Diego risking his life to protect his wife was incredibly domineering? Absolutely! That's true love. He didn't care about his own life as long as he could protect the woman he loves. The HD video of Diego shielding Victoria with blood running down his forehead was shared over and over again. And in that same video, the scene of me unconscious in the passenger seat with blood all over my head was also exposed. Someone commented, "Who is that ugly woman with the bloody head?" Another replied uncertainly, "Isn't the passenger seat usually for an assistant?" Someone else refuted, "Not an assistant. I know Victoria's assistant, and Diego's assistant is a man. Then who is this woman?" Many people treated the video of me fainting as a joke. In the end, they concluded that if I wasn't an assistant, I must be a housemaid. After all, I was dressed plainly and wore no jewelry. I could only be someone from the household staff. I silently scrolled through the comments, lost in thought. Everyone said Diego and Victoria were a match made in heaven, but no one knew the truth. In reality, Diego and I had been engaged since childhood. Victoria came later. She transferred to our school in senior year and won Diego's heart. Diego and Victoria once loved each other desperately. He even tried to break off the engagement with me to be with her. But wealthy families do not believe in love. Back then, his family's company ran into trouble and needed capital. Victoria's family couldn't help. In the end, his family stepped in and forced them to break up. The two loved each other too much to accept it, so they planned to elope. But the night before they were supposed to leave, something happened. Diego and I somehow ended up in bed together, and Victoria walked in on us. Victoria left heartbroken. After Diego failed to find her, he eventually gave in to family pressure and married me. Diego didn't love me. In fact, he resented me. He believed I had deliberately broken them apart. I couldn't explain anything, because I really did love Diego, loved him to my very bones. Marrying Diego was what I wanted most in the world. I knew he didn't love me. I knew marrying him would be hard. When we got married, he set harsh conditions. Our marriage would remain secret. We had been secretly married for 3 years. True to his promise, Diego treated me coldly, and I loved him humbly, washing his clothes, cooking for him, making hangover soup. We lived under the same roof for 2 years. Then one night, we finally became husband and wife in the truest sense. I thought it was a turning point for us, but I was too naive. Diego began to change his attitude toward me. He started coming home on time, buying me gifts during holidays, sending me flowers. When my period cramps came, he made brown sugar ginger tea for me. We became intimate more and more often. I thought spring had finally arrived for us, but I never expected that Victoria, who had disappeared for 3 years, would suddenly return. Chapter 3. The day Victoria came back was my birthday. Diego had promised to have dinner with me that evening. I prepared a table full of dishes, opened a bottle of red wine, and arranged beautiful flowers. But I waited and waited, until 10 at night, and Diego still hadn't shown up. He didn't answer my calls either. Later, I learned that Victoria had returned. She happened to appear at the hotel where Diego was negotiating a business deal and was almost assaulted by a fat, greasy investor. Diego flew into a rage for the sake of his beauty and got into a fight with the man who tried to molest Victoria. From that day on, Diego began leaving early and coming home late. He invested huge sums to buy scripts and paved the way for Victoria. With him backing her, her career soared. She quickly rose from an unknown rookie to a trending young actress, and within less than a year became a top star in the industry. Many people guessed that there was powerful capital behind Victoria's meteoric rise, but no one knew it was Diego. When Diego and Victoria met, they were always careful to avoid suspicion in front of others. He never went to see her personally, he always sent his assistant. When he met her privately, the assistant would still be present. If not for this car accident, no one would have connected them. Diego never hid his support for Victoria from me, and I pretended not to see it. I kept persuading myself that after all these years of perseverance, the clouds would soon part and I would finally see the moon, especially after I discovered I was pregnant and told Diego the news. He was happy and stayed home with me for a few days. I thought it was a good beginning. I thought Diego would draw a clear line between himself and Victoria because of me, because of the child. But I never expected that this sudden car accident would expose everything to the world. The accident video kept looping on my phone. I watched Diego shielding Victoria, panic written all over his face. I watched him shout at the ambulance, insisting they take the unconscious Victoria to the hospital first, completely ignoring me lying motionless in the passenger seat, covered in blood. Diego truly loved Victoria, even though I had been between them for 5 years. Even though I had kept Diego by my side through marriage for 5 years, I still couldn't cut the bond between them. I had fantasized that I could warm Diego's heart, that I could tie him down with our child. Now it all felt like a joke. Seeing my own blood-stained reflection, seeing that throughout the entire ordeal Diego never once looked at me lying unconscious and bleeding, my heart turned ice cold. If not for this accident, I would have kept loving Diego foolishly. I would have believed that one day he would be moved by me and fall in love with me. But now, after crashing into a wall and breaking my head, I suddenly realized all my persistence had been nothing but a joke. I kept asking myself over and over, was it worth it? For a man who never had you in his heart? Were all these years of sacrifice worth it? The answer became painfully clear. It wasn't worth it. I once believed loving him and staying by his side was something I had to do in life. But now, I regret it. I realized I don't seem to love Diego that much anymore. Chapter 4. I stayed in the hospital for a week. During that time, Diego never showed up once. Not a single call or message. His assistant did come to the hospital room with food and drinks. The assistant told me Diego had been very busy lately, handling a major cross-border merger. While making excuses for Diego, his eyes avoided mine. Filled with pity, he knew how much I loved Diego, how much of a simp I had been for him. He thought I didn't know that Diego was on the same floor, in a VIP hospital room, accompanying Victoria. In fact, ever since I woke up, I had known every single move he made. Victoria sent them to me. After all, we had once been classmates, and I still had her contact. The favored one always acts without fear. Victoria knew Diego and I were married, yet she felt no guilt at all. Instead, she arrogantly sent me updates of her and Diego, while my fractured leg hurt so badly that tears streamed down my face. I saw Diego guarding her bedside, gently comforting Victoria when she woke from her coma, while I couldn't eat because of the pain and cried nonstop. I saw Diego peeling apples and oranges for her, feeding her soup, while I struggled to go to the bathroom because of my fractured leg. I saw Diego carefully supporting Victoria to the restroom. I watched Victoria wrap her arms around his neck and act coquettish. I watched her kiss Diego's cheek. Diego didn't push her away. He allowed that boundary to be crossed. The kiss was only the first step. What came next would surely be something more intimate. After all, it was a VIP hospital room. They could do whatever they wanted without worry. I imagined everything that would happen next, taking off clothes and doing what men and women normally do. I thought I would break down, smash things, scream and cry hysterically. But none of that happened. It wasn't that I wasn't sad, but the sadness slowly faded with every intimate moment between Diego and Victoria, especially when I saw them kiss. I felt a strange sense of release. 5 years of marriage, and Diego had never kissed me once. He slept with me, yes, but he never kissed me. I once read that sex can simply be a physical need, but kissing is different. Only people who truly love each other kiss. Otherwise, the contact of lips feels disgusting. So Diego slept with me but never kissed me because he didn't love me. I was just a tool for release. It could have been anyone. To Diego, I was nothing special. After realizing this, I let out a bitter laugh. The greatest sorrow is when the heart dies. That was exactly what I was experiencing. I knew my love for Diego had disappeared. I felt lost. I didn't know what to do next. Inside my belly was a life I had once longed for deeply. I had wanted to use this child as a bond to tie Diego to me. But now I knew Diego didn't care about this child at all. I hesitated about whether to keep the baby. I had the ability to raise the child alone and give them a life free from worry. But the child was Diego's too. Half his blood ran in their veins. They would not belong to me alone. Keeping the baby meant I would continue to have ties with Diego, even if he didn't want the child's birth. And now, I no longer wanted any connection with him at all. Just as I was still hesitating about whether to keep the baby, something happened to Victoria again. Chapter 5. Over the past week, Victoria and Diego had never left the trending charts. One was a wealthy, handsome, and powerful CEO. The other a top traffic actress, beautiful, talented, and adored by countless fans. Their love story moved many people who didn't know the truth. People praised and glorified their romance, and Victoria's followers skyrocketed by more than 30 million in just 1 week. Victoria became explosively famous and reaped the full benefits of the traffic boom. Endorsements poured in endlessly. Reality shows, TV dramas, and movie invitations lined up one after another. Her market value multiplied several times over. Victoria's rise was unprecedented and unmatched. And then, right at this moment, someone released a video online of Diego and me registering our marriage. The perfect love story of Diego and Victoria immediately suffered backlash. The same fans who had idolized them now felt disgusted. Victoria, knowingly being the other woman, shot onto the trending list with explosive popularity. Roxana called me the moment she saw the news. She gloated. "I'm dying of laughter. The mistress finally got her karma? I heard the penalty fees are tens of billions? Ha ha ha. That mistress must be panicking now. She can't afford that even if she sells everything. No way. I have to go comment again and stomp on the mistress." I stared at the trending topic on my phone, Victoria knowingly being the other woman, and felt something wasn't right. The timing of this trending topic felt suspicious. It carried the scent of a conspiracy. And deep down, I knew Diego wouldn't sit back and do nothing. He would definitely help Victoria. But how would he help her? I already had a faint guess, I just wasn't ready to confirm it yet. At that moment, the door to my hospital room was kicked open. Diego, who hadn't appeared for a week, stormed in furiously. He rushed to my bedside and glared at me. "You did this, didn't you? Helen, how can you be this shameless? Do you know what consequences this will bring? I'm telling you." Victoria just slit her wrists. He fired accusations at me like bullets while grabbing my shoulders and shaking me. Dizzy from the shaking, I pushed his hands away and denied it. "It wasn't me. I didn't do it." "If not you, then who? Who else would hate Victoria this much?" Victoria's assistant followed him in and suddenly knelt before me. "Victoria suffers from severe mental illness. She just recovered. And now this happens. Miss Helen, you've gone too far." The assistant knew Diego and I were married. Yet she still addressed me as Miss Helen, with tears streaming down her face. She described Victoria's suffering and accused me of being despicable and shameless. I never imagined things would develop like this. My conscience was clear, I truly hadn't done it. I repeated mechanically. "It wasn't me. Really, it wasn't me. I swear I didn't do it." My explanation sounded weak and powerless because Diego didn't believe me. He continued scolding. "Back then you shamelessly broke us apart, and now you've done something just as despicable. Helen, do you really think I wouldn't dare touch you?" He looked at me as if I were something filthy. He brought up the incident years ago, the night I slept with him and Victoria left. It was Diego's deepest wound. He had always believed I schemed against him and tore him and Victoria apart. But I truly didn't. I loved him deeply, but I never did anything so vile. Back then, even though I was misunderstood, I wasn't too upset. I was just happy I could become Diego's wife. But now, hearing him speak harshly to me in front of Victoria's assistant, tearing open that old wound again, the humiliation made my face burn red. I felt ashamed to the extreme. I wished the ground would open up so I could crawl inside and hide. Just as the shame overwhelmed me to the point of wanting to die, I heard Diego's voice, distant yet clear. "Helen, how are you going to solve this?" Chapter 6. I didn't know how to solve this. After all, this matter truly had nothing to do with me. I was being framed. I felt deeply wronged. My eyes misted over. I forced down the sting in my nose and held back my tears as I looked at Diego. He was staring at me with an expression of utter disappointment. Just like 5 years ago, we were childhood sweethearts. We grew up together. We were once an engaged couple, but the moment Victoria suddenly appeared, the scales tipped toward her. He loves Victoria. He believes her unconditionally. He has never stood on my side. Not even once has he given me a chance. I was such a hopeless fool. I regret all the love and all the youth I gave him. If I had known things would end like this, I would never have entered this situation. Diego was still waiting for my response. Seeing me silent, his tone hardened. Helen, you must pay for your shamelessness. You caused this mess. So you must bear the consequences. So how do you want me to bear them? Even though I kept telling myself not to cry, that it wasn't worth it, my voice still trembled and choked. Two choices. First, you release a statement to clear Victoria's name and deny the rumors that she's the mistress. Then you go apologize to her and swear you will never make this kind of mistake again. I will forgive you for the sake of the baby. I won't clarify anything. I didn't do it, so I won't clarify or apologize. What's the second option? The second option is divorce. I smiled silently. So forcing me to divorce was the real goal of Diego and Victoria. They were the ones at fault. They had no right to force a divorce while I was pregnant. So they staged this entire drama to pressure me. It seemed I had no other choice. I answered clearly, word by word. I choose divorce, Diego. From now on we go our separate ways and never interfere with each other again. As soon as I finished speaking, his expression grew even darker. He glared at me angrily. Helen, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink the penalty. I'm only tolerating you because you're pregnant. Are you sure you won't apologize, admit fault, or clarify the situation? Had he ever tolerated me? I couldn't think of a single moment when he had. Was his coldness, his indifference, his superiority, and his baseless accusations what he called tolerance? His version of tolerance was too strange. I couldn't bear it. Diego continued pressing me. Is apologizing and clarifying really that difficult? You dare to do it but not dare to admit it? I won't apologize, I said firmly. Diego, we're divorcing. Forget the apology. You asked for this. Don't blame me later. Diego slammed the door and left. Victoria's assistant followed him, and before leaving she turned to look at me meaningfully, the malice in her eyes undisguised. 2 hours later, Diego's social media account posted a short message. Divorced. Normal relationship. Not a mistress. Since I refused to apologize, Diego made his own decision. The scandal about Victoria being the mistress instantly shifted direction after his clarification. He moved fast. That very night, he returned to my hospital room with a divorce agreement prepared by lawyers. He looked at me mockingly. This is the result you wanted. Check it and sign if there are no problems. I silently took the agreement and read it carefully while he paced the room. The document was long. After all, we had been married for 5 years. The division of assets alone filled several pages. I carefully reviewed what I would receive: jewelry, properties, stocks, funds, cars. Diego wasn't stingy. Everything that belonged to me was listed. There was no way such a complicated division could have been prepared in just a few hours. This agreement had definitely not been prepared today. Diego must have started preparing it the moment Victoria returned. I thought that by playing the ostrich and pretending not to see or ask anything, I could make him feel pity for me and keep him by my side. How foolish I was. Chapter 7. While I was lost in my thoughts, Diego, who had been pacing non-stop, suddenly stopped. He was probably worried I wouldn't sign and wanted to persuade me. Helen, I can't just stand by and watch Victoria's reputation be ruined like this. I can't watch her career collapse and see her pay huge breach of contract penalties. It hasn't been easy for her to get where she is today. This is what you and I owe her. So let's divorce first. And once the storm passes, we can remarry. Diego truly treated me like an idiot, afraid I wouldn't divorce him. He kept lying to me. I said nothing. I carefully finished reading the divorce agreement before finally looking up at him. Perhaps out of guilt, or something else, Diego actually didn't dare meet my eyes. He avoided my gaze. My eyes rested on his handsome, charming face, the face that once made me so infatuated I rushed toward him like a moth to a flame. I wanted to find the reason that once made me so determined. But after staring for a long time, I couldn't find a single reason to make my heart flutter anymore. The terms Diego offered in the divorce agreement were generous. I had no reason to refuse. I withdrew my gaze, grabbed the pen he handed me, and signed my name at the end of the agreement. After signing, I placed the papers on the bedside table. Diego's eyes lingered on my signature for a long moment. Then he slowly said, "How's your leg now?" I didn't understand the meaning of asking about my leg at this moment. Guilt? Or just trying to make conversation? I didn't answer. When he got no response, he continued, the baby is fine." I asked the doctor, "After the divorce, I'll have my assistant take care of your daily life. I'm sorry I wasn't there during your pregnancy. I'll have my assistant accompany you to your prenatal checkups. If you have any other requests, you can contact me anytime." We were already divorcing. Who was he trying to disgust with these sentimental words? My stomach churned. I cut him off. No need. To avoid affecting Victoria's reputation, it's better if we have no further contact. You can go now. We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month to finalize the divorce. Diego didn't leave. He stayed in the hospital room for another half hour, making awkward conversation. My expression was cold, full of impatience. The moment I signed the divorce agreement, I had already made my decision. I would not keep the baby. I would terminate the pregnancy and cut ties with Diego completely. Forever. In the end, Diego was called away by Victoria. Her voice on the phone trembled as she said she had accidentally fallen and was in pain. The woman he treasured most, of course he was frantic. He hurried out immediately. The moment he left, I limped out of bed and headed to the obstetrics and gynecology department. Chapter 8. The abortion took less than an hour. The anesthesia meant I felt no pain. After one injection, I woke up and was sent back to the ward to rest. I struggled to sit up and found my phone flooded with calls and messages from my family and Diego's parents. They were all asking what had happened between Diego and me. I didn't reply to Diego's parents. After all, we were already divorced. His family had nothing to do with me anymore. I had no responsibility or obligation to explain to his parents why we divorced. That was something he needed to handle himself. I only briefly told my parents and Roxana about the divorce. My parents were furious. On the phone, they cursed Diego and threatened to settle the score with him. Neither set of parents knew about my pregnancy, and I didn't tell my parents I had already had the abortion. I only told them there was no need to trouble Diego, that he had been generous in the divorce, and that I could handle matters between us myself. They didn't need to interfere. After hanging up with my parents, I booked an expensive postpartum care center. 2 hours later, I left the hospital in the center's nanny van. A postpartum center that cost hundreds of thousands a month was indeed comfortable. After settling in, I drank the nourishing soup prepared by the staff and fell into a deep sleep. The second day after I moved in, Diego called me. I didn't answer. He sent a message. "Hudson said the doctor allowed you to be discharged today. I think you shouldn't leave the hospital yet. Your leg hasn't fully recovered, and you're still pregnant, so you should stay a few more days." I found it ridiculous and didn't bother replying. He sent another message. "I've already told my parents the divorce was only forced by circumstances. We'll remarry later. You should explain the same thing to your parents. Oh, and if you need anything, you can tell me or Hudson. This really was your mistake. I was forced by circumstances too." Reading his so-called comforting explanation, I had a strong feeling he had ulterior motives. I continued to ignore him. Later, he messaged again. "Helen, I plan to let Victoria move into our marital home today. After you leave the hospital, move to the villa in the suburbs. The air is better there, and it's good for raising the baby." The marital home had clearly been assigned to me in the divorce settlement. What did he mean by this? I still didn't respond. Diego continued. "There's one more thing. I need you to clarify the issue about Victoria being a mistress. People are still questioning it. To be safe, post on social media that we divorced 6 months ago so this can end." This was too much. Even clay figures have tempers. How could they be so unscrupulous and arrogant? I couldn't take it anymore. I typed out a message word by word. "Diego, I have a temper too. Don't push me and Victoria too far." After I sent the message, Diego backed down. Perhaps he realized he had pushed too hard. His tone softened. "Don't be angry. It's bad for the baby. I'll reconsider Victoria moving into the marital home. You don't need to post the clarification either." Even though he retreated, I still felt suffocated. After sending the message, Diego turned to Victoria, who was sitting beside him. Pick another place to live. The marital home isn't convenient. Victoria pouted. Is Helen refusing? Diego shook his head. It's not that she refused. I just think it's unnecessary. I own many properties. You can live in any of them. There's no need to move into the marital home. Victoria forced an unwilling smile and nodded. Then asked again, will Helen post the clarification that I'm not the mistress? No, she's pregnant. I don't want to affect her emotions. Besides, I've already issued a clarification. There's no need to pressure her. Diego's answer darkened Victoria's eyes. All right. I'll listen to you, but since we're almost at your marital home, let me go in and take a look. I'm curious about how it's decorated. This time, Diego didn't refuse. Chapter 9. Diego brought Victoria into the marital home he shared with Helen. Victoria looked around in amazement, exclaiming in admiration. She didn't bother to avoid suspicion at all. After wandering around downstairs, she suggested going upstairs to take a look. Diego, preoccupied with his thoughts, nodded absent-mindedly to placate her. After watching Victoria enter the elevator, he stood by the floor-to-ceiling window and called his assistant Hudson. Madam will be discharged in a few days. Go find several top-rated maternity nannies to take care of her once she leaves the hospital. And the auction the night after tomorrow, there's a pink diamond Madam likes. Make sure someone bids for it and send it to her. Hudson agreed to everything. Diego hung up and let out a breath. These days, he had been busy taking care of Victoria and had neglected pregnant Helen. He had always thought Helen would use the baby to argue and fight with him. But to his surprise, Helen had been very quiet. With so much chaos outside, she hadn't called or texted him even once. Her silence made Diego uneasy. When he first saw the trending news about him and Victoria at the hospital, he had wanted to clarify things. But Victoria's assistant stopped him in tears. Chapter 10. Victoria's assistant told Diego that Victoria had had a very hard life these past years. She said Victoria developed depression because of him, spent 3 years abroad receiving treatment, and later struggled to survive by taking minor roles on film sets just to make a living. The assistant told Diego Victoria had attempted suicide by cutting her wrists 3 times, and the scars on her wrists still hadn't healed. She begged Diego to help Victoria now that she had finally gotten such an opportunity. Seeing the scars on the unconscious Victoria's wrists softened Diego's heart. He had truly loved Victoria. She had been an excellent student. If not for their relationship, she wouldn't have suffered like this. Diego felt he owed her. He wanted to compensate her. Because he didn't clarify things immediately, everything spiraled out of control. He never imagined Helen would do something so outrageous. She had actually spread the news that Victoria was the mistress. After the news broke, Victoria went hysterical and tried to kill herself with a knife. Diego had the doctor sedate Victoria and then went to confront Helen. He never intended to divorce. After all, Helen was carrying his child. He only wanted to force her to admit her mistake and apologize, so he gave her 2 choices. He had been certain Helen would choose the first option. He never expected her to choose divorce without hesitation. Diego was furious. Helen had become spoiled from his indulgence. She had made a mistake yet showed no remorse. She was being outrageous. Did she think he wouldn't dare act? Was she using the baby to threaten him? Helen was hopeless. Because of Helen's stubbornness, in his rage he posted that clarification statement. One lie required countless lies to sustain it. He had cornered himself to prevent Victoria from being hurt again. Divorcing Helen became inevitable. Diego thought this might teach Helen a lesson and correct her scheming tendencies. He wasn't worried things would spiral out of control. He knew how much Helen loved him. He knew she would do anything for him. He believed she would understand him. He had the lawyer draft the divorce agreement. On the way to the hospital, he imagined her reaction. She would be heartbroken. She would question him. She would use the baby to make a scene. But Helen remained quiet. She read the agreement and signed her name without saying a word. From beginning to end, she showed no sadness, no entanglement. Her calmness made Diego uneasy. He tried to start conversations, but Helen showed no interest. She didn't reply to a single word, and he even saw impatience on her face. His heart grew heavy. He actually wanted to apologize. He wanted to say sorry. He wanted to promise it would be the last time he helped Victoria. But he couldn't say it. After 5 years of marriage, he was used to being superior, used to giving orders, used to Helen's tolerance. He had never imagined apologizing to her. Besides, he believed Helen was the one at fault this time. He believed he had done nothing wrong. Diego practically fled the hospital room in panic. Chapter 11. Diego felt empty. Seeing Victoria looking as fragile as a rain-beaten pear blossom no longer stirred the same pity in him. He absent-mindedly stared at his phone. With how deeply Helen loved him, he thought that within a few hours she would regret everything, cry her heart out, and come to him to apologize and beg him to withdraw the divorce. But 2 days passed and Helen made no move at all. Diego opened their chat and realized that in the past, Helen used to send him dozens of messages every single day, even when he had no time to read them, even when he never replied. She had always done it willingly. Now their chat was frozen a week ago, the day of the car accident. So much time had passed without Helen contacting him first. Why had she suddenly changed? Diego couldn't figure it out. Victoria, however, soon made another request in her pitiful tone, to convince fans that she and Diego were in love. She wanted to move into the 20 billion yuan villa under his name. She also wanted Helen to post a statement confirming they had divorced long ago to clear her name. The villa she wanted was Diego and Helen's marital home. Letting Victoria move in and asking Helen to post a statement were not in Diego's plan, so he messaged Helen first. Helen didn't reply. She remained silent. Diego felt even more uneasy, as if something had slipped out of his control. For the first time, he began to think Helen might not love him as much as he thought. After all, Helen showed no reaction to his contact with Victoria, even if it was just for appearances. Her indifference felt too cold. He kept staring at his phone, waiting. Finally, Helen replied. She was angry, telling him not to push her too far. Diego felt a weight lift from his chest. It wasn't that Helen didn't care. She was simply sensible. She knew crying wouldn't change anything. She tolerated him because she loved him. The thought made him uncomfortable. He swore to himself this would be the last time. Once Victoria got through this crisis safely, he would cut ties with her. Then he would remarry Helen and give her a grand wedding. After all, they never held a ceremony when they first married. Relieved, he finally thought of Victoria again. She had been upstairs for a long time. What was she doing? He hurried upstairs calling her name. After several calls, she responded. She was in his and Helen's bedroom. What was she doing there? Diego pushed the door open and was met with a scene that left him stunned. Chapter 12. I thought everything would end after Diego gave in. But 2 hours later, Victoria sent me several photos. The background was the bedroom of our marital home. Her pale legs were wrapped around Diego's waist. The bed was in disarray. Her underwear scattered across the floor. It was obvious what they had done. I never imagined Diego could sink so low. I felt so disgusted I leaned over the sink and vomited. After signing the divorce agreement, I had no intention of ever returning to that house. Now, after seeing this, it was even more impossible. I continued ignoring Diego, but he seemed like a different person, constantly sending messages to make small talk. A week after I moved into the postpartum care center, he messaged again. Where are you now? Hudson went to pick you up from the hospital and found out you had already been discharged. He went to the house and couldn't find you either. Where did you move? We were already divorced. What did it matter to him? I didn't reply, but he didn't stop. Helen, are you angry with me? Just reply, even if it's to scold me. You're pregnant. You can't bottle up your anger. It's bad for the baby. Helen, how about we meet? I'll come find you. Tell me where you are and I'll come right away. Chapter 13. I don't understand the point of Diego sending these messages now. In the 5 years we were married, he has sent me more messages today than he did in all those years combined. What exactly is he trying to do? Could it be that after being intimate with Victoria, he still wants to keep me as a backup and remarry me once he gets tired of her? How disgusting. I didn't want to see these pointless, nauseating messages anymore, so I blocked Diego. I also blocked his assistant Hudson. Finally, some peace and quiet. Now all that's left is to get the divorce certificate. Chapter 14. To my surprise, when I ignored Diego, he went to my parents to ask about my whereabouts. My parents had him thrown out immediately, with no other choice. He went to Roxana to ask for news about me. Roxana didn't hold back either. She mocked him relentlessly and, of course, refused to tell him anything. She stood firmly by my side. That scumbag probably thought you were staying with me. He even brought your favorite fruits and snacks and showed up with a bouquet of flowers. I didn't go easy on him. I scolded him mercilessly, but he didn't argue back. He politely asked me to tell him where you were, said he was worried about you, afraid you might do something stupid, said you were pregnant. How ridiculous! When the car accident happened, did he remember you were pregnant? When he publicly announced his relationship with the mistress, did he remember you were pregnant? Now that you agreed to divorce, he suddenly acts like this. Do you think he's finally realized your worth and regrets everything? Of course not. How do you know? You and Diego grew up together. He used to treat you well. If that green tea pretentious coquette hadn't interfered, things wouldn't have turned out like this. Roxana knows everything about my relationship with Diego. She kept rambling. I observed that jerk. He looked exhausted. Nothing like his usual confident self. When he mentioned you, he sounded worried, not just about you, but about the baby in your belly. If he finds out you've already had an abortion, I wonder what expression he'll make. He won't react at all. He won't be sad either. If he wants a child, he can just have one with Victoria. That jerk even said he and Victoria have nothing going on. He just feels sorry for her and wants to help. He said they're completely innocent. Chapter 15. Very calmly, I forwarded the photos Victoria had sent me to Roxana. Roxana had been to my marital home before. The moment she saw the photos, she exploded. Damn, that disgusting couple. How dare they? That's revolting. Doing that on your marital bed. Helen, we can't let them get away with this. We need to destroy them. Release these photos and let everyone see what kind of trash they are. Ruin the mistress's reputation and make her go bankrupt. Facing her righteous fury, I remained calm. Roxana, I've completely let it go. In about 10 days, everything will be over for good. I don't want any more complications. Roxana cursed Diego and Victoria's ancestors for 8 generations before hanging up in frustration. I continued recovering at the postpartum center, eating well, drinking well, and sleeping well. The food was excellent, and the garden was beautiful. Every day, I ate, took walks, scrolled on my phone, and slept. At first, news about Diego and Victoria still appeared on the trending lists from time to time. For example, Diego invested huge sums to produce what was touted as the hottest historical drama of the year, starring an A-list actor and several highly respected veteran performers. There were also reports of candlelit dinners and camping trips to watch meteor showers. When reporters asked Victoria about her relationship with Diego, she shyly replied that she had no comment, then appeared the next day wearing a massive diamond ring. Everyone thought their wedding was imminent. But soon after, paparazzi spotted them arguing. Their names kept appearing in the headlines non-stop, and I watched it all like it was a TV drama. Time passed quickly, and soon it was the day for Diego and me to finalize our divorce. I removed him from my blacklist and sent him a message. Don't forget to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning to get the divorce certificate. Chapter 16. After I sent the message, Diego replied with a string of voice messages. Helen, where have you been all this time? Why did you block me? Do you know how worried I've been? And you and the baby, are you okay? Where are you? I'll come find you right now. I frowned. There's no need to meet. Just don't forget to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow. He sent more voice messages, but I only listened to a few and lost interest. The next morning at 9, I drove to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When I parked, I saw Diego was already there. He hurried over when he saw me. Helen, let's go inside. I nodded coldly and walked up the steps. He followed and grabbed my hand. Helen, if you're unhappy, we don't have to divorce yet. I stopped and looked at him in surprise. What do you mean? I mean the news about Victoria and me has already cooled down. As long as no one is watching us, we don't actually need to finalize the divorce. I had never expected him to say something like this. I shook his hand off forcefully. Does Victoria know about this? Not yet, but I think she'll understand. You'd better discuss it with her first, I said expressionlessly. But Diego had no intention of doing that. He grabbed my hand again. Helen, it's settled. Let's go home. I had never imagined he would try to back out at this moment. Chapter 17. I shook his hand off again. Diego, for Victoria's career, you'd better finalize the divorce with me. After all, Paper can't wrap fire. As far as I know, Victoria has many endorsements. If everything between you two is exposed, the penalty fees won't be a small number. Tens of billions in compensation would send Victoria straight to hell. Hearing this, Diego hesitated. I ignored him and quickly walked into the hall to take a number. While waiting for the divorce procedure, Diego sat beside me, staring at my belly. The baby is behaving, right? Not troubling you? I replied flatly. What do you think? I looked it up online. They say pregnancy comes with nausea and a lot of hardship. You didn't contact me during this time. I was really worried about you. How about I accompany you to the hospital for a checkup later? I gave no response, but Diego seemed to think I would be moved. He spoke softly and tenderly. Helen, I've thought it through. From now on, I'll personally accompany you to prenatal checkups. You don't need to worry about paparazzi. I'll arrange everything. I'll go back with you now. From today on, I'll live with you and take care of you. I felt irritated and looked at the electronic screen, seeing that my number was about to be called. I stood up in relief. It's our turn. A few minutes later, Diego and I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, each holding a divorce certificate. We had been walking side by side when Victoria's assistant called, saying she had been injured on set and asking him to come. Surprisingly, he didn't rush over like before. Instead, he snapped impatiently. If she's injured, take her to the hospital and find a doctor. Why call me? I'm not a doctor. How strange. Wasn't he deeply in love with Victoria? How could such a huge change happen in just 1 month? I didn't want any contact with Diego and quickly got into my car. By the time he finished the call, my car had already disappeared. He immediately called my phone. It rang once before I blocked him again. Chapter 18. After getting the divorce certificate, everything between Diego and me was settled and would never change again. I called my lawyer and told him to immediately start handling the property Diego had given me. Jewelry, houses, and cars that could be sold were sold. Stocks and funds that could be transferred were transferred right away. I moved back into the 500 square meter penthouse under my name and asked Roxana to go out drinking and have late night snacks with me. Staying at the postpartum care center during this period had nearly suffocated me. Now that I was single again, of course I had to enjoy myself. Roxana and I didn't hide anything as we ate, drank, and had fun. Just when we were enjoying fine wine, delicious food, and admiring handsome men, Diego showed up. Diego arrived with a dark expression and security guards, clearing the place. The young hunk with 8-pack abs that Roxana and I had called over was escorted away by the guards. Roxana was the first to protest. Diego, what's your problem? You ruined my fun. This isn't over. Diego looked at me. Helen, I've been looking for you all day. I haven't even eaten yet. What did that mean? Did he think I would feel sorry for him because he hadn't eaten? He was thinking too much. Chapter 19. I looked at Diego calmly. Mr. Diego, why are you looking for me? We're already divorced. My cold way of addressing him made his expression turn ugly. Helen, we agreed it was a fake divorce. Mr. Diego, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and processed it ourselves. You should know very clearly that there's no such thing as a fake divorce. Diego was obviously panicking. Helen, I know you're upset. Let's go home. We can talk about everything there. He reached out to grab me, but Roxana pushed him away. We're already divorced. What are you trying to pull? Diego, don't tell me you want to juggle 2 women. Do you think Helen is that easy to fool? Enough, Roxana. This is between Helen and me. Stay out of it. You know she's pregnant. And you still brought her here drinking and fooling around. What kind of friend are you? How Roxana and I live is none of your business. I'll say it again. Diego, we're divorced. I don't want anything to do with my ex-husband. I hope you feel the same. Diego acted as if he didn't understand. He refused to leave, and I lost my patience. Diego, if you keep this up, I'll call the media. You don't want to see the news about Victoria being the other woman trending again, do you? For Victoria's sake. Diego backed down. He agreed not to follow me anymore, but made me promise not to drink and not to stay up late, and to go home early to rest. After all this drama, Roxana and I lost the mood to keep partying. On the way home, she cursed him nonstop. That night passed quietly. The next morning, the doorbell woke me up. When I opened the door, A giant rose teddy bear stood in front of me. I stepped back in shock as Hudson emerged from behind it, holding an exquisite box. "Madam, the CEO asked me to deliver this pink diamond to you." I frowned sharply. "Take it back and tell Diego not to do meaningless things like this. It makes him look cheap." Hudson tried to speak, but I had already picked up my phone and called security. A few minutes later, security politely escorted Hudson away. Chapter 20. After Hudson was sent away, Diego's mother came to see me. As always, she came to plead for her son. "Helen, I know Diego really went too far this time. How could he treat his pregnant wife like this for some woman who can't even be presented in public?" Diego had told his parents about my pregnancy. Her gaze softened slightly as she looked at me. "Don't worry, the only child I will acknowledge is the one in your belly. No other random woman will ever step into our family." After I married Diego, she had never treated me particularly well. Before the incident, she had been decent to me, but ever since that night when I ended up in bed with Diego and married him, she had become increasingly condescending. Her family used my family's investment to expand the company and return to the top of the pyramid. Yet she never showed the slightest gratitude. After our marriage, she constantly set rules for me. We had no children for 5 years, and she kept implying that it was my fault. I endured it all because I loved Diego. But now, I would not indulge her anymore. "Auntie, people should have some dignity. We're divorced. How can you shamelessly say such things to me? The one who cheated was your son, wasn't it? He wanted a divorce for his mistress. And now that he got what he wanted, shouldn't he be happily living with her? Why are you coming to me now? Did your company run out of money again and need my parents' investment?" My blunt words turned her face pale and purple with rage. "Helen, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Who gave you the nerve to talk to your elder like this? If you want to remarry my son, you'd better be more respectful. Don't think pregnancy makes you special." Women lining up to give Diego children stretch from the south of the city to the north. "Then go find someone else. Why come to me?" She stormed off. After that confrontation, life was finally peaceful for a few days. Chapter 21. A week later was Roxana's brother's birthday, and I was invited. Diego showed up too. "That disgusting jerk is here," Roxana muttered. "Why didn't he bring the mistress?" As soon as she finished speaking, Victoria walked in, dressed in an elegant gown. She smiled and approached Diego, reaching to hold his arm. Diego stepped aside and avoided her. The public rejection humiliated Victoria completely. Roxana whispered in shock. "What's wrong with that jerk? Why embarrass the mistress in public?" "Not interested. Let's eat." Roxana and I headed to the buffet. Victoria followed with a glass of red wine. As she passed me, she suddenly stumbled, and the wine was about to pour all over me. I had already been on guard. I raised my hand quickly, and the wine splashed all over Victoria instead. She screamed, and people rushed over. Victoria accused me pitifully. "Miss Helen, I didn't provoke you. Why would you do this to me? This is too much." Before I could respond, Roxana spoke first. "You think someone like you is even worth Helen's effort? Let me warn you, Victoria, this is my territory. There are cameras everywhere. Don't try your cheap tricks here." "Diego!" Victoria cried, looking to him for help. "Enough. Go change your clothes. Aren't you embarrassed?" Victoria left crying. The party continued. Since everyone knew I was divorced, many single men came to invite me to dance. I accepted several invitations. As I spun on the dance floor, I felt someone staring intensely at me. It was Diego. What on earth was he staring at? Chapter 22. Being stared at by Diego like this made me uncomfortable both physically and mentally. I went to the lounge to rest midway, and Diego followed me in like a ghost. "Helen, how can you wear high heels while pregnant? And you were drinking just now. Don't you know that's bad for the baby?" I replied directly. "None of your damn business." Diego didn't get angry. "Helen, I didn't bring Victoria. I came alone. I don't know how she got in. You also know a lot of eyes are on me now. I had no choice. I had to give her face in public. After all, I owe her." Seeing me look at him coldly and remain unmoved, Diego showed a hurt expression. "Helen, you've changed. You weren't like this before. How can you smile at other men? You said you only loved me. Why did you break your promise? He questioned me, then apologized. I admit I didn't consider your feelings before. Now I know I was wrong. Helen, I miss you. I've been dreaming about you all this time. Diego, there's nothing left to say between us. Stay away from me. No, Helen, your heart has turned cold. You know I've fallen for you. You're playing with me. As he spoke, he tried to hug me and even kiss me. I struggled desperately, but I was no match for him. Diego had been drinking and was very strong. He pushed me down onto the sofa and kissed me forcefully. At that moment, the lounge door was pushed open, and a woman's scream pierced the air. Victoria stood outside the lounge, covering her mouth, tears in her eyes. Her scream drew a crowd, and everyone looked at Diego and me in shock. With people watching, Diego let me go. Furious, I raised my hand and slapped him across the face in public. Diego, if you dare harass me again, don't blame me. Victoria rushed over to check the red mark on Diego's face, while I got up and left. On the way home, my mood was terrible. My heart felt uneasy, as if something was about to happen. Chapter 23. Sure enough, the next morning, the entanglement between Diego, Victoria, and me climbed back onto the trending charts. This time, unlike before, I became the target of everyone's attacks. The footage of Diego and me in the lounge the previous night had been secretly filmed and posted online. That wasn't all. Stories about the conflict between the three of us also surfaced, claims that I had interfered in Diego and Victoria's relationship, schemed against Diego, and forced Victoria to leave. Helen the mistress. Helen is shameless and despicable. These tags shot straight to the top 2 spots on the trending list. Victoria's fans tearfully denounced me. Waves of insults and malicious attacks flooded toward me. My parents immediately arranged for people to suppress the trending topics. But it didn't work. Victoria's fan base was too massive. For the sake of their idol, everyone united to attack me. I became the public enemy. Diego called me from a new phone number. Helen, I'll handle this matter. Don't worry. I didn't ask how he planned to handle it. I hung up directly. I would never expect Diego to stand on my side and clear my name. The only person I could rely on was myself. Because I loved Diego, I endured everything and allowed dirty water to be poured over me. But now, I didn't love him anymore. Why should I endure this humiliation? I objectively sorted out the relationship between Diego, Victoria, and myself. Before Victoria appeared, Diego and I had always been publicly recognized as an engaged couple. It was Victoria who appeared later and came between us, causing him to change his heart. I never used any tricks to marry Diego. That night, I was also a victim. As for now, Diego and I had been divorced for less than a month. Yet Victoria knowingly inserted herself into our marriage while we were still legally husband and wife. I uploaded our divorce certificate. The date was recent, proving that Diego's earlier statement claiming we had divorced long ago was false. I also uploaded the intimate videos and photos Victoria had sent to provoke me, the evidence of her and Diego fooling around. Finally, I uploaded the medical certificate of my abortion. Chapter 24. The backlash from public opinion came fast and fierce. All the evidence I released proved that Diego and I had not divorced. Victoria had inserted herself into our marriage, and she had done it while I was pregnant. The so-called perfect love between Diego and Victoria collapsed instantly. When fans saw the divorce certificate and my abortion report, they were furious. They immediately switched sides and began attacking Victoria and Diego. The trending topics of Victoria and Diego, cheating scumbag and shameless woman, replaced the negative trends about me. Angry netizens demanded that Victoria leave the entertainment industry and issue an apology. Major brands began terminating contracts with her and demanding compensation. Diego started calling me frantically from different numbers. When I ignored him, he came to my door in person to block me. I had no choice but to meet him. Why? I asked. Diego stared at my abdomen. Helen, the abortion report is fake, right? You didn't get rid of our child, did you? I frowned. How could it be fake? Diego, after everything you did to me for Victoria, do you really think I'd be foolish enough to keep the baby? But that was our child. She was innocent. You loved her so much. That was before. When you accused me for Victoria. When you forced false accusations onto me. When you made me choose between apologizing to her or divorcing you, I had already made my decision. You could have told me you didn't want to. You could have refused. Why did you decide everything without a word? At the time, I had no choice. I didn't want to keep making the same mistake. I repeated firmly, Diego, what happened between us back then was never planned by me. I never wanted to drive Victoria away. I was wronged. What's the point of saying this now? Helen, can we go back to the way things were? I'll make Victoria leave. Let's start over. Impossible. Even if I died, I would never entangle myself with you again. You disgust me. Helen, I never slept with Victoria. She did try to seduce me, but I pushed her away in the end. Believe me. Did my belief still matter? It didn't. Chapter 25. Diego. This ends here. Stop bothering me. I slammed the door shut and heard his muffled sobs outside. He could feel sadness too? I thought that was the end, but it wasn't. A shocking post suddenly appeared online. The poster claimed to be a witness from 5 years ago and provided video evidence clarifying what happened the night Diego and I slept together. I had not seduced Diego. I had not used any underhanded tricks. It had all been arranged by Diego's mother. She ordered someone to drug both Diego and me, then had me carried unconscious into his room. Her goal was to make me marry him so my family would invest money and save their company. Everyone was stunned by the post. Diego's mother issued a statement denying everything, claiming I had paid someone to frame her. Then someone else released a video of her meeting Victoria in a cafe. In the video, she handed Victoria $5 million and told her to leave Diego and go abroad. She also asked Victoria to cooperate in staging a performance. Victoria agreed. Netizens overseas dug up Victoria's life in Germany. She studied there, fell in love with a German man, and later suffered infidelity and domestic abuse. The scars on her wrists were not from depression, they were the result of domestic violence. Public outrage exploded. Diego's family was condemned as shameless. The company's stock plummeted. Soon, more scandals surfaced: tax evasion, bribery, even deaths at construction sites that had been covered up. The company was sealed, and his parents were investigated. Diego was summoned by police many times, but his parents took all the blame and protected him. He was not prosecuted. However, the company was too damaged to continue and eventually declared bankruptcy and liquidation. After the bankruptcy, Diego called me to apologize. Helen, I'm sorry, truly sorry. I hung up without saying a word.